What's up, guys? Tarantino just doubled down on plans to retire. So let's talk about it. Is it better to burn out or fade away? Can a 53-year-old man with 8 movies and change really burn out? Be here or be square? This is Screen Junkies News. In what must be the Hollywood equivalent of posting about leaving Facebook on Facebook, Tarantino reminded us at the Adobe Max Creative Conference in San Diego that he intends to tap out after his 10th film. According to The Hollywood Reporter, the director said, and I quote, "Drop the mic, boom, tell everybody, match that shit." 50-year-old man. And for a man that blatantly homages as hard as he does, dropping that mic shouldn't be too hard. For those keeping score at home, The Hateful Eight was actually his 8th film as a director, so that means 2 more films are coming our way. Yeah, guys, I done did math. Now, again, this is not the first time he's claimed retirement is just around the corner. He made the same claim to Playboy in 2012 and again in 2014 to distributors. Now, for a former, and let me use the proper French, enfant terrible, which again is French for bad boy, of the cinema sin, is this a pivot from not caring about his critics to trying to ensure a legacy? Do we even believe him? And more, do you wish more artists and properties had the foresight to wrap up heroically before they lived long enough to see themselves become the villain? For more about the director of Hateful Eight's final 2, let's talk to our delightful 3. Sorry guys, I got a little Brooklyn-y there. Let's talk. You guys want to talk about Tarantino?
I'm from Brooklyn,
absolutely.
So
Let's
talk about Tarantino.
Well then let's talk a little bit, starting with our friend Dan Murrell. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. How are you doing, Joe?
Good. It's a great morning. We are joined by Markia McCarty of Marvel Movie News and WWE Raw AfterBuzz.
Yes.
Welcome to the show.
Happy to be here. Thank you.
Thanks for hanging out. And of course, our boss, our editor-in-chief, Roth Cornett. Thank you guys for being here.
I didn't know you thought of me as your boss, Joe.
Oh, yeah. No, you guys are going to start learning a lot about me live every morning on Fridays. Guys, let's talk about this retirement thing. First of all, do we even buy it? Is this sort of a publicity stunt or is this legit?
I don't buy it.
Yeah?
Personally. Yeah. I mean, he's been telegraphing this for years. I'm going to retire, 10 movies, I'm going to retire. Then he went back, he took one of his movies back because then he decided retroactively, well, but Kill Bill, that's one. And then, well, but no, and then Quentin Tarantino is a director, I think, almost as much as he's a showman. That's what he is. And I think that I could see him taking some time off. I could see him saying like, all right, boom, drop the mic, and then like 5 minutes he's going to pick that mic up and go like, 11th film, bitches, and be Quentin Tarantino. That's what he does.
Who's ready for the 11th film by Quentin Tarantino? They said it would never happen.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think it's a great business move, especially if he's going to go into other mediums, like if he's going to do a novel or if he's going to do, hey, Netflix is huge right now. They would love to attract a really big director to do, one of their series. Maybe he can finally do 40 Lashes, Less One. Like he's had the rights to that forever, and that's right up his alley. I could totally see that as a 6 or 8 part Netflix. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Which does not count as a film.
It does not.
Right, that's where they get tricky.
Yeah, he returns his grand return to the big screen after doing some vanity television projects.
Yeah.
Is Quentin Tarantino a liar, Roth? A dirty liar.
dirty liar. It's funny, just riffing off what you guys are saying, I think it'd be really hilarious if we got to number 10 and he was like, well, if you think about it, the first 9 are one big trilogy. Let me explain why in this feature that you can come see at my personal theaters. I think that, to your point, I remember when Soderbergh was talking about retiring a lot. Right? So he then went on and did television. He did The Knick, which is a great show, so that's exciting.
He's very on brand. Quentin Tarantino is. See,
burnout, but also he's protecting from burning out, because if you only have those other 2 left, then it's like, oh, hey, well, I have to come see this because then there aren't going to be any more. So yeah, Hateful Eight wasn't so up my alley, but hey, 9th film of The Bride Returns, or
you're not going to see a movie.
Or
you're going to see
a Tarantino experience.
Yeah, exactly.
I think he's hitting his stride as a filmmaker. I think that Reservoir Dogs was a great first film. Pulp Fiction obviously changed the way that movies are viewed. It was a huge big thing on the indie scene. I think Kill Bill, Jackie Brown, Kill Bill, those are some of his more sort of mainstream movies. Death Proof, he kind of went a little too far into the experimental world. But I think his last few, Inglourious Bastards and Django Unchained. And yes, even The Hateful Eight, probably the least of those three, have been his best. I think he's hitting his stride, and I think that there is that temptation to be like, okay, I'm hitting my stride, and I'm gonna just. He loves movies. He loves the romance of movies, and I could see him being like, I'm going to be that director that just steps away at my peak. But I think he loves old directors. I think he loves Peckinpah too much and Houston, and I think he wants to be that old man director at least one time.
That cranky old man. Do you think it's fair that, because a lot of people love his earlier stuff, do you think that's a sort of a fair assessment when people are like, Pulp Fiction is the Quentin Tarantino film, or is it, like Dan says, more his later films that are kind of his big ones that he's going to be remembered by?
I think it's interesting because he's a film lover, right? Probably no filmmaker, arguably, is obsessed with film, maybe as Tarantino is, and commenting on film within his own film. So I think what he's very aware of is the criticisms that come up around other directors as they move forward in their careers. And then often we hail their early works and kind of are incredibly critical of what, you take Ridley Scott as an example, right? People are remarkably critical, fair and not, now. A lot of it is fair of what he's doing now and really hail his early work. And I think he doesn't want to become that person. I love Pulp Fiction, but I also agree with Dan that there is a richness to Inglourious Basterds and Django. There is a depth to them. Could they be trimmed up a little bit? Probably. And I think that's where you get into the phase where a director has so much power that there's nobody else there.
No one's telling him no.
No one's telling him no.
The Lucas.
Yeah. Well, and then I think he thinks of somebody, say, like Lucas as well.
Yeah, because there does come that point where it's just, I can do anything. I've reached the Lucas level of things. And then can you check yourself back and be like, but wait, should I do this or should I do that? And I actually think that's really good to be that self-aware for Tarantino to be like, well, you know what? Let me channel this into other things.
Get challenged again a little bit.
Exactly. Maybe he's not feeling it as much as he used to. I know that he goes very much into the musical side of things. Like he actually has this whole setup in his place where it's like a vintage record store kind of a feel with
Rich
things.
people.
That sounds right.
I know. That must be lovely. But yeah, maybe it's just time to channel things in a different way. Approach it from a different angle where someone can tell you no, and then you don't say, no, I'm Tarantino.
Yeah.
It's more like, you know what, that's a good idea. Let me try my 5-part Western series.
We'll try this elsewhere. Yeah, I think it's important for guys like him to be challenged. To me, an example would be like Wes Anderson. Life Aquatic might not be his best film, but it's an interesting one because Bill Murray, I feel like, refused to let Wes Anderson have his way with anything in that movie. So you get a really interesting, different feeling Wes Anderson film out of that.
Yeah. Maybe Samuel L. Jackson is his no man.
Yeah, it might be. If anybody could tell
crazy.
him no, it's Samuel L. Jackson could tell him no. Yeah. I mean, in general, don't you think that that's an important part of the creative process? It sucks when you're in it, when you're arguing with people about how to get the best product out of something, anything. But it is an important part of it, and you probably do get a better thing in the end.
I agree. Like, I think that the only thing that's going to put Tarantino or any director's filmography, as great as the director is, in jeopardy, or double jeopardy, sorry, bad pun, is themselves. And I think that, like, we were talking about Death Proof, which I think, there are fans of that movie. I think it's easily not his best movie. And I think the reason for that is because that was his most insular film. It was him and Robert Rodriguez kind of saying, like, we're going to do our own thing on our own with no whatever. And I think that when you don't have that out, you need to make this. It's just you're going so far into the back of this genre that it's opaque almost. You can't even really see what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I think that is important, that you need to have that voice there. Not a naysayer, but somebody saying, like, maybe think about this a little bit.
If you think about the filmmakers that have had a ton of success over an expanse of a career, many of them have a creative producing partner that I think works as that person that isn't just a studio head coming in with like marketing notes, but that actually has like a creative rapport with them.
Absolutely.
I think we can all agree that nobody, as a person who also worked at a Blockbuster, Quentin Tarantino loves movies because that is a torturous place to work. So you really got to love movies to have worked at a Blockbuster video. And I think we can kind of agree that he's got a little more to give, whether this is his last 2 movies or maybe he's got maybe 2.5 more or 3 in a Netflix series. He's not quite ready to get out yet. So what are some properties that we kind of wish someone had sort of taken someone a step back and said, hey, maybe it's time to
Die Hard for me.
Yeah.
The first Die Hard is great. The second Die Hard is a serviceable early 90s action movie. It's certainly got the excess of the early 90s action. Die Hard with a Vengeance, I think, is a pretty solid little flick. And you thought that they were going to leave it alone, and they didn't, and they came back, and it's just 4 is okay. 5 was the worst movie I saw that year. And again, it's like that thing of just like, if you've got something that's good, you don't have to bring it back. Get out while the getting's good. Sometimes it's worth it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or just keep releasing alternate cuts of it, like Blade Runner. Just stick with that first Die Hard, and here's the director's cut.
Exactly.
Here's the Nakatomi Plaza cut.
Yeah.
Here's the everything we deleted of Alan Rickman cut. Yeah. Just do it.
Yeah, I would like to
wanna see
think that,
that.
Samuel L. Jackson said no after the third one, and they didn't listen to him.
Listen.
Marky, what about you? What's something that you kind of wish had ridden off into the sunset?
X-Files.
Yeah.
They didn't need the. Okay, the new season that just came out this year. I'm not going to touch on that one. I'm saying the one back when
The
they
original.
shouldn't have had that. Yes, they shouldn't have had that last season. We didn't need. I'm sorry. We didn't need Doggett. We didn't need Reyes. Once Fox Mulder, once David Duchovny was like, you know what, I'm good with this. The talks are done. This character has reached where he's going to reach. No, you can't throw money at me. Okay, wait. Oh, all right. If you're throwing that amount of money, I'll show up in like half the episodes. Once it reaches that point,
it's time
that
to-
story's been told. Do the spinoff, have X-Files, NCIS or something. At that point, it's just, no, that storyline is done. I will say
Yeah, at that point, we either believe or we don't.
Well, when you get to the point where you have Scully, the non-believer, semi-believer, and then scientific fact, when you have her seeing someone change, like shapeshift, and then she recognizes them by their shoes, and then she wants him to go heal a lifeless Mulder, but the aliens took him. Once this is not happening. Once you reach that point, it's done.
Yeah, that's the they've got a small little green animated alien on that show at that point. What was that guy's
Great
name? from
Gazoo?
Flintstone? The Great Gazoo.
The Great
Yeah.
Gazoo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they've hit their Great Gazoo peak. Rock, what about you?
I actually am going to mention something that I think did it right, which is Breaking Bad. And I think we're seeing this more and more in television now as creators are deciding how long does the story need to actually be told. And this is a model that I think we're going to talk about this a little bit, the bit that has been used on the BBC for many years. They just sort of decide that they're going to decide how, they decide that they're going to decide, and then they have a meeting about deciding, and then eventually they make a decision. That's my life right now. They decide how long a story needs to be told, and then they tell that story. And I think Breaking Bad and Vince Gilligan, that was really important to him. Having worked on the X-Files, for example, having worked on a lot of other television series, he learned that that model was going to be the most effective for him. The network let him do it, and it's arguably one of the best television series ever made. And I would love to see that, not only in more television, but also, yes, in more film franchises.
Yeah, you brought up the BBC. It's almost like we had a pre-show discussion before the show started. 'Cause I was going to talk about The American Office. Carell leaves. He's not even like the Scully hangover, like hang around. You just lose your Mulder and your Scully completely in The Office, and they hang around for 2 more seasons. And I think that is one of the reasons why the BBC original Office is one of my favorite shows of all time. They did 12 episodes, 2 specials, and they were out. They had a story they wanted to tell. They told it. They, to quote Quentin Tarantino, dropped the mic and demanded people top that shit. So yeah, no, it was great.
You guys have convinced me. He should retire.
Have we convinced
You know what?
Done with you, Quentin
Okay.
Tarantino.
Exactly.
Really quick counterpoint, though. There's certainly, and whether you like his work or him as a person or not, Woody Allen really doesn't care if you like his movies. He makes one a year. He just doesn't care.
best way to
He
describe
just
his
doesn't
genre.
care at all.
He doesn't
Yeah.
care.
He goes and he makes one movie a year, and many of them are forgettable. But then every once in a while, still now having as prolific as a director as he is, every once in a while he'll just come out with something that is truly remarkable. So, and if he doesn't care and he's just doing it for the work, right, then maybe, does it have to get so navel gazing? Do we have to think about legacy? Or should just people make films and then sometimes make a great one?
Let's take it a step further.
Sure.
Than Woody Allen's, I don't care movies. Remember the movies that George Lucas is supposedly making for himself? Just his quiet little private movies. No one's ever even going to see them.
Wait, George Lucas is making
That's
private
what he says.
movies
He's
for
like,
himself?
that's what he says. That's what he said after The Force Awakens, or after Star Wars was sold to Disney. He was like, I'm just going to make small movies. No one's ever going to see them. They're just going to be personal.
I'll tell you what those movies are. He has a camera in his living room, and he has Star Wars action figures, and he's doing Star Wars Episode 7.
Man.
Oh, Han Solo. It's Luke Skywalker. He's filming himself doing Star Wars
It's
Episode
like
7.
it's like the
watch.
Fine Brothers Lost videos. It
Yes,
just comes full circle.
Yeah, it's just George Lucas. This is my Star Wars. Oh, look at it's Darth J.J. Abrams. Oh,
You're so
exactly.
And I'm picturing like he's doing YouTube videos. Like he's making a series of YouTube how-tos.
This is George Lucas, and I'm reviewing the.
Making the Death Star.
This is my unboxing of
You know what? I would actually watch that.
I would watch
I would
the
actually
hell out
watch
of
that.
George Lucas unboxing.
Yes, I would. I would want his opinions on everything in that box.
Yeah. Well, yeah. What should he be unboxing? Well, guys, we thank you for your input. We talked a whole bunch of Quentin Tarantino without any foot jokes, so I feel like this was a really successful panel. Guys, what do you think? Do you think Quentin Tarantino should stop now? Do you think he's got 2 more films in him? Do you think he's got 5 more films in him? Click on some stuff for some more Screen Junkies related and news internets. Let us know in the comments what you guys think. Thanks for hanging out. Have a good Friday.